In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to build your own SaaS product with login features, with payment features, with the ability to send emails and do a bunch of complex tasks. I'm actually going to be recreating a piece of software that I've been using for years and I've paid thousands of dollars for. I'm going to completely recreate it myself using AI in just a matter of a few hours. I'm going to edit that down for this video so that you can follow along step by step and do this yourself, start to finish. By the end of this video, you'll be able to program any piece of software you want using AI. And this only cost me around $30 in API credits to build a piece of software that I've spent thousands of dollars on over the years. This is very exciting for me, and hopefully it's exciting for you. So stick around to the end of the video, watch the whole thing, and you will become an expert in coding in AI, just like I am. Let's follow along and let's get started right now. All right, so we're going to use Cursor and Claude Sonnet for this. I've made a video on Cursor in the past. Basically, just go to cursor.com, download Cursor, get it set up. Just go to your settings, go to models. Again, I'm only going to use Claude for this, 3.5, 3.7, and 3.7 thinking. I have 4.5 and a few other ones here, but for now, these are the models I'm going to use. That's it. Basically, set that up, come down, add your API keys, verify them, and you're good to go. So I'm going to take you from start to finish, the entire process. You don't need to know how to write code. You don't need to know anything. So it's going to be really simple for the beginners. So all I've done here in Cursor is I created a brand new folder. So it's an empty folder and I opened the folder. Just went to open folder and open an empty folder. Okay, so we're on the same page. I went to terminal, I hit open new terminal here, and that's where we are right here. And the software I'm going to replace is called Invoicely. I've been using Invoicely forever. It absolutely sucks. There's a million problems with it. I don't need the features it has. I just need to send invoices on time, and I need it to have certain parameters like links to Stripe, and that's it. So this is going to be a big help for me, and so it's going to be killing two birds with one stone because I'm going to show you how to do it and I'm going to solve my own problems at the same time. So we have this folder open here. First thing I'm going to do, so basically you can just Google how to set up a NextJS project. We're going to use NextJS for this. It's really simple. You come to this page, and then the first thing you need to do is go to Node.js and install Node.js. So you just come here, download this, install it. I already did that. It takes a few seconds. It's like installing any other piece of software. There's nothing to it. So once that's installed, come down here to this automatic installation. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come to Cursor. I'm already in the terminal here like I showed you, and I'm going to paste that. So that's it. So we're basically on the way here. So I already named our project My App. I clicked too fast there. That's fine. Would you like to use TypeScript? I'm going to say yes. Would you like to use ESLint? No. Tailwind? Yes. Inside an SRE dissectory? No. Would you like to use an app router? Yes. Turbo Pack? I'm going to say no. Import alias? No. I'm just using the defaults. I don't even know what half that stuff means. To be honest with you, I use the defaults that they recommended, and that's it. So it's going to go ahead and install this. This should take about 1 minute or less, and we should be good to go. All right, done. So it installed this new app. It's just called My App. You can rename that. I just clicked through that, but you can give it a name here. What is your project name? So you can name it whatever you want. So we see that it's created that. So I'm going to CD into that directory. I'm just going to say CD my-app. And just to show you how this works with Next.js, if you want to run your app, so like after we've done development, you want to run it and see what it looks like, you're going to type npm run dev. So I'm just going to do that now just so we can take a look at this template here, what's been built. So this is just the default base template for Next.js. You can see that it's running here on our local network here, localhost 3000. So I'm just going to come here, localhost 3000. And we can see we have our beautiful, simple Next.js template we can deploy to Vercel. We'll talk about that later, but that's it. So we have a Next.js set up, which is the first step. So now that we have Next.js set up, we can start actually building this thing. I'm going to hit Control C to close it, and then we can get started. So in order to get this chat window open, so basically in order to get the AI involved here, you're going to hit Control I. So I already did that. So we have our chat open here. Now, a few things that are important. I'm going to set this to agent setting. So this is going to help us because it's going to do a lot of work for us without having to go in and ask it to do more work. So for now, I'm going to use Sonnet. I'm not going to use thinking because it uses a little bit more tokens. So for now, I'm just going to use 3.7 Sonnet, and then we're going to start working on this. So I'm going to click on My App, and we're going to open this up here, and I'm going to go to app and then page.tsx. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to build here is an invoice app. That is my goal. So I am going to say, I'm going to write here. So you can see that it's open, and you can see we have page.tsx here. So I'm going to say, clear out the default template material for Next.js and start building my new app. This app is going to be invoice generator that will generate invoices along with links to those invoices, generate, let's say, PDF invoices along with links to those invoices that can be viewed and paid. So I'm going to skip the details for now, but I'm just going to say clear this and start building the new app and basically letting it know what it is, which is invoice generator. So that's all I'm going to do for now. Let's see what happens. All right. So it went through a ton of process there, and let's see what it did. So because I'm in agent mode, it actually reads all of our pages at the same time. So I don't have to go page by page, and it does all the work for us. So it says, I'm going to help you build an invoice generator app that can create PDF invoices and provide links for online viewing and payment. Let's start by clearing this out, clearing out the NextJS template and setting up the foundation. Let's look at the structure of your app, look at the current pages, right? So it basically analyzed the whole structure here. And it says, now I'll update the necessary files to create the foundation. And it started to edit some files here. And it's also asking to run a command. Let's run the basic structure for invoice related pages. So I'm going to run that. All right. So it's generating some new page TSX info. So we're going to stick around and see what that does. And then when this is all done and I like it, I'm going to hit accept all. So it's going to think a little bit more here. And when it's done, we're going to accept all. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Let's see. Let's make the invoice listing page. Now let's create the new invoice form page. Okay. You know what? I'm going to let this run a little bit longer, and I'm going to be right back as soon as this is done, and we'll review that and accept it. All right. So it produced a bunch of changes for us, and it's asking us to run another command. So I'm going to do that now. All right. So it went ahead and did everything it was supposed to do. It asked me to run a few commands. So I just stuck around and hit run command when it asked me to run command, and that's it. So basically I gave it one prompt. It asked me to run a few commands. I just clicked a few buttons where it said run command, and now I'm just going to hit accept all. Before I do that, let's just read what it says. So it updated the README, and it says, I've successfully cleared out the default Next.js template and created the foundation for your invoice generator app. Here's a summary, created a homepage, an invoice management section, a PDF generation, a project structure. The app now has the basic structure and functionality for creating invoices with multiple line items, viewing invoice details, generating PDFs, and managing existing invoices. Install the dependencies by running npm install or yarn install, implement the actual data storage, database integration, and add authentication for user accounts, blah, blah, blah. So to continue building this app, it's giving me some more instructions. So I'm going to accept all. So that's done. And then what I am going to do is I'm going to do an npm install because I don't know what packages it added. So we're definitely going to do that. So I'm going to come back, type npm install. Okay, so instead of trying to interpret this, I'm literally just going to copy this error, and I'm going to say, great, thanks. I tried running npm install in the base directory, and I got this error. All right, let's see what happens. All right, so it says, I see the issue. You're encountering a dependency conflict between React 19 and React PDF Render. This is the package it tried to install, which only supports React versions up to 18. Let's fix this by updating your package JSON to use compatible versions. So let's accept that, and then let's run the command. Yeah, I just wanted to go to npm install. All right, so let's run it one more time. So it looks like it worked. Added 204 packages, removed 15 packages, and it looks like it worked. Wow. Okay, so that was dead simple. So now we know that if we get an error, we literally just copy it and put it in here, and it'll solve it for us. So that's great. So let's do an npm run dev. So let's come back to our terminal, npm run dev. Again, that's just what we type to run the project. And let's see what it looks like right now. Okay, so we got another error. Let's see. Okay, again, I'm not even going to try to fix this. I'm going to copy and paste this in here, and I'm going to say that it gave me this error. So let's do that. I got this error now when I run npm run dev. All right, so I had to do a quick update there with my API key. I was using an old API key and exceeded the rate limit. There was probably like only a few dollars on there anyway. So I just updated that, and it's good to go. So I copied the error, and now it's saying I see the issue. You have a Next.js file, but Next.js only supports configuration. So let's just let it fix the problem. All right, let's try it one more time. Looks like it says that it fixed the problem. Let's see if it works. All right, so it's working. So let's check it out. Let's run it, and let's see what we got. Okay, so we have a font error here. Next font error, unknown font Geist. Okay, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna feed it this whole error, and let's let it fix it. Was able to run it, but I get this error when I go to site. All right, so it looks like it fixed it, or it thinks it did. So I'm going to accept all, and we're going to run it one more time. I just hit Control C, by the way, to stop the run, and I'm just going to type npm run dev, and let's run it and check it out. All right, so let's just refresh this page. Okay, so this is our invoice generator app. So you can see that it has like absolutely no design, but let's just try hitting create invoice. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. It looks like it works. Obviously, it has no design though. This isn't really going to work the way it is, right? When I hit invoices, I got a runtime error. So let's fix a few of these things. So let's come back and let's say, okay, so I'm just going to hit Control C again, and I'm going to say app is running now, and I can see the components, but there seems to be no design or CSS. CSS is just what you use for design. Please add a modern design to this app and use shad cn or similar to do this. So the reason I'm mentioning shad cn, I have it open here. Shad cn is like a component library that uses Tailwind that has just a bunch of great components. So it looks good. It's like modern app design stuff. So I asked it to basically use this. So let's see what it does. Okay, so it's saying first we need to install shad cn. So I'm going to try to run the command from here. Let's see if this works. All right, so I'm just following along and doing exactly what it tells me to do. Just going with the defaults. I'm not doing anything fancy. All right, so it looks like shad cn is installed. Now it's saying let's install some essential components. I will do that. Okay, so after a while, it just basically had me run a bunch of commands. It just kept saying run command, run command, run command. I did all of that. I accepted the changes and it looks like it's done now. So let's npm run dev. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm starting to think that there's a problem with the CSS because it's just not showing me any design at all. So without trying to make this too complicated, I'm just going to come back and I'm going to say there seems to be a problem with the CSS. Doesn't seem that it's loading when I run the app. Please check and make sure the CSS is loading properly. All right, so I'm going to send that out. Let's see what it does. Okay, so I went ahead and followed its instructions. Basically, all I did was just hit run command a million times, just like last time. What's interesting is that it added a light and dark mode toggle. I noticed that along the way here. So I don't know why it did that, but it did that for some reason. So, but it seems to think that it should be working now. Let's see if our CSS is loading. So let's check it out. Okay, so we have our light and dark toggle here, which works, but the CSS is still not loading. So this is a new one for me. I've actually never experienced this particular issue. So we're just going to keep debugging it until it works. That's basically the best that we can do right now. Okay, so it says that it fixed the problem. It changed some stuff. I have no idea what it did. I just accepted it and let's see if it works. Yeah, it's still not working. Very odd. So this is part of what sucks about, doing AI coding. I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? If you don't know what you're doing, if you can't write the code, you end up with issues like this. You just kind of have to keep asking it to fix it. So I'm going to try a different approach here. I'm going to say CSS is still not loading. There must be a core issue here since it has not worked since you made your original edits. Could there be another major dependency or something out of place that is causing this? This is your last try. You have to fix this now or the world will come to a possible end. Please save the app. Save the world. All right, see if that works. Success! We have our invoice generator app. So let's just go back to Cursor. I'll show you what happens. So if we scroll up, this is so funny. This is what got it to work, by the way. I said, there must be a core issue, hasn't worked, blah, blah, blah. This is your last try. You have to fix this. The world will possibly come to an end. Please save the app, save the world. So then it like redid everything. It went ahead and like reinstalled a bunch of stuff, went through all this process. I just, again, clicked accept, run, did everything it wanted me to do. And then there was one error that when I ran the app, it showed an error. So I said, I'm getting this error when I run the app, and I just pasted it in here. It fixed that. It ran something else, and that's it. And it's here. It's done. So it still has this test component in here. So let me just tell it to remove that real quick. CSS is working now. Please remove the test component you added. So great news. I'm glad the CSS is working. Let's remove that test component and clean up the code. So yeah, just this component here. But other than that, it looks like it works. So we're going to remove that component, and then we're going to give this a test here. We're going to go click around a little bit, see how this works. Okay, so it's removed it. And let's see how this looks. So npm run dev, let's come back to our app, refresh. Okay, great. So this is awesome. Create invoices, manage invoices, perfect. Key features, whatever, recent activity, quick stat. This is all test stuff. Obviously, this doesn't really exist, right? So add new client, configure settings, view help docs. Okay, let's click around. Let's see how this works. I basically one-shotted this with just a few requests. So let's see if this works. Okay, so we have our first error here. So module not found, can't resolve this. So let's fix this. When I go to create a new invoice, I get this error. And I mean, like as boring as this sounds, this is basically the process. The process is ask it for stuff to do, run it. If there's an error, give it the error, have it fix the error, and then run it again. I mean, it's kind of crazy that that's what it's come to, but that's basically what it's come to. Pretty wild. So it looks like it fixed the error. So let's run it again. What's really cool, by the way, in this new version of Cursor is that it actually runs the terminal for you. So I don't remember it doing this in the past. This is really cool. So it'll actually run the commands you need to actually run this, which is pretty sweet. So it's running it on 3001. So let's run it there. Let's check it out. All right, create invoice. Okay, we're still getting this error. Okay, so let's do it again. Wow, what the heck's going on? I didn't even have to do anything. I didn't even have to send it the error. It read the error. See, we need to install another missing. Wow, that's crazy. So I didn't even have to tell it there was an error. I put like a typo in, and I guess because it's running the server or it's running the terminal and it saw the error in the terminal, it found out there was an error and it says, I see we need to install another dependency. Whoa, pretty freaking cool. Okay, so we have another error. Let's see if it picks this one up automatically. Okay, so it didn't pick this one up automatically. So I have to, oh wait. Whoa, it like fixed itself? What is going on? This is crazy. Okay, so we now have a create invoice component. This is crazy. This is so cool. Back to invoices. Okay. Wow. And these are just like a bunch of test invoices, I guess. Wow. Okay. So we've come a long way. We went from nothing to a shell of a pretty good invoice generator, pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. So obviously it doesn't work fully yet. So I have to keep working on this. I have to run right now. I'm going to be back this morning. So I'm going to cut this right now and I'm going to be back in the morning to continue working on this. And we're back. All right. So the next step in this process, now that we have this completed, is going to be setting up the database to actually create these invoices. Because right now, since there's no database, if I try to create an invoice, even if this works, it's not going to do anything because it's not saving it anywhere. The database is somewhere it can actually save this data. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to come back to Cursor and I am going to start requesting that it develop a database for me. Now, I've tried this in the past and it has not worked well. I've had a million issues trying to connect databases through Cursor. So let's see if we can get it to work this time with the updated Cursor and 3.7 Sonnet. So I'm coming back here and I'm just going to create another request. I'm going to say, this is all great, looking good. However, nothing actually works because we don't have a database set up. Please set up a database connection and routes to make sure everything is working properly. I'd like to use Supabase for this database connection. Let me know what you need from me and get started on coding all of this now. Boom. So essentially what I'm saying is this is looking good, but nothing actually works because we don't have a database. Please set up a database connection and routes to make sure everything's working properly. Don't worry if you misspell stuff. AI totally understands that. I told them I'd like to use Supabase for this connection and let me know what you need from me to get started. So the only reason I'm using Supabase is because it's actually really, really simple. I've used it in the past and it's really simple to set up databases and things like that. So I figure why not use Supabase again. And so, yeah, let's try this out and see if this works. So saying I'm gonna help you set up a Supabase database and we need to install Supabase. So again, just gonna run these commands and see how it works. Okay, so quick interjection here. As I'm going through this, basically, I just like I showed you, I had it, I requested it to create the database and it says, I'll help you set up the database, blah, blah, blah. And it's going through all this process. Now, I just realized something. I'm sure a lot of people already know about this, but I just realized that there's an area here. So I keep hitting run command, run command, run command, right? But there's something down here that when I click ask every time, it says auto run YOLO mode. So I didn't know this existed and I'm going to do this, okay? I don't necessarily recommend you do this. Who knows what could happen if you do this? I'm going to review what it does, so I'm pretty confident I'll be all right. But if you don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. But hey, if you just want to get crazy, you're running on a virtual machine, whatever, just do it. So I'm going to do YOLO mode. It's giving me a disclaimer here. YOLO mode runs on commands, runs any commands based on the allow list and deny list you set. Be cautious of potential prompt injection risks from external sources. Use at your own risk. Continue. And we're going to run that and YOLO. Let's see how this goes. All right. So it is done working. Let's review what it's done. So great. I've set up the Supabase database integration. Here's what I've done. Created a Supabase client utility file. Created API routes, a UI integration, database scheme, created a SQL script, documentation, etc. So to complete this, you'll need to create a Supabase account if you don't already have one, create a new project in Supabase, run the SQL script in the Supabase SQL editor, get your Supabase URL and anon key from the API settings, update the env file with your Supabase credentials. So let's do all this. So I already have a Supabase account. That's number one. You can see I have one here. Number two is create a new project. So we're going to do that right now. Let's call this project invoice app. We'll generate a password here and I'll copy that so you don't get to see that. We'll go to create project. Okay, done. So welcome to your new project. Get started by building out your database. SQL editor. So I think this is the next step it wanted me to do, right? Run the SQL script in the Supabase SQL editor. So this is the SQL editor and it wants me to run a script here. So click run to execute your query. So I guess I have to drop something in here and click run. So let's see what it wants me to run. Let's just ask it. Where can I find the SQL script you want me to run
in step 3. Wow. Okay. So here's the breakdown. It's the Supabase schema SQL.SQL. Open your Supabase project dashboard, navigate to the SQL editor, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm just going to follow these steps right now and I will be right back. Okay. So I found the script they wanted me to run and I'm just going to hit run and let's see what happens. Success, no rows returned. Okay. So I think it's done. So if I come back to our table editor, we have invoices and line items here now. Okay, cool. Sweet. So let's come back to Cursor. Let's see the last steps here. Get your Supabase URL and anon key from API settings. Update the env.local file with your Supabase credentials. All right, so we'll do that now. So let's get the URL. So let's come back here. I'm new to this, by the way, so I'm following along just like you. I'm not sure where to find this. Invoice app. I think it said it was in the API settings, right? Let's see. Education. Database. You know what? I'm just going to ask it. I'm going to ask Cursor one more time. Give me details on steps 4 and 5 so I can complete those too. All right, so log into Supabase, select your project. In the left sidebar, go to project settings, click on API. You'll find project URL, API keys, copy both of those. Okay, so let's do that right now. So let's go to Supabase, project settings. Here we go. Configuration, data API. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So let's copy this. This is our URL. Come back to Cursor. Let's go to our env.local. So the env.local, save the file, restart. Okay, so go to env.local. Supabase URL, we're going to paste that right there. Supabase anon key, so let's come back here. Anon key, I think that's this one right here, so we're going to copy that. We're going to come back. We're going to paste that right here. All right, we're going to save that. Yep, anon public key, that's what that was, right? Anon public key, yep. Update the env.local file. That's been updated. Replace the placeholder value, save the file, restart your development server. Okay, so I mean, it says that that's it. So this should work. So let's run this. Okay, so we got to go to the right folder. Let's do npm run dev. Okay, so let's come back. I mean, everything seems to work. I didn't get any errors so far. So let's come back to the invoice generator. Wait, so it's actually running on 3000 now. So we'll go to 3000. I know that because it says it right here, localhost 3000. Okay, so let's try to actually create an invoice and see if it works. So let's just use all this data here. That's fine. Test@test.com. Line items, test item, quantity 1, rate of 100. We'll add another one, test item 2, quantity of 10, rate of 100. Pay me now. All right. $1,100 invoice, create invoice. Let's see if this works. Invoice created successfully. No way, dude. No way. No way that worked that easily. That is so crazy. Unbelievable. Okay. This is like a huge improvement. And the reason I'm so excited is because I've tried this before and it did not work that easily. I'm like legitimately blown away that it worked that easily and that the database is already saved. Let's come to Supabase. Let me just go to the database. Let's go to tables. I don't even know where to find this. I guess invoices, 11 columns. Yeah, I'm not super table editor. Let's go to the table editor, invoices. Okay, so it did add invoice 3021. Yeah, that's it. Wow. Pretty wild. Okay, so that is done. We now have a database connection, and that literally took me just a few minutes. And I didn't even have to sit here and hit run command because I have it in YOLO mode. Yeah, vibe coding is real. Literally, you just ask it for what you want and it does it now. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, so I'm excited, but let's move on to the last steps here. So creating invoices works, managing invoices works. That's awesome, okay? So let's see if add new client works. Let's test this out. Okay, so that doesn't work, so that's a problem. Settings area doesn't work. View help docs probably isn't gonna work either. Not that I need that, but that doesn't work right now. Okay, so this is important for me. So I wanna add clients and I wanna be able to configure the settings. So I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna say, that's great. Everything is working now as expected and the database is set up. Moving on, I'd like to add some new features. I'd like to finish adding some features. One, I'd like to add a clients. I'd like to finish adding the clients area. I can add a new client and save their past invoices. When adding a new client, I need to add name/business name, address, email, phone number. I also need a clients area where I can manage these clients and review and edit their info and past invoices. 2, I'd like to set up recurring invoices. This will be a new type of invoice that will be sent in timed intervals, weekly, monthly, yearly, etc. This will be emailed automatically to the clients. We'll also need to add email functionality. Let's use a service you recommend with the best delivery rates to ensure we don't go into spam. And then 3, so I'm just YOLOing here and adding all the features that I want. I need to add an option on all the invoices to have clients pay using credit card, which will be directly tied to my Stripe account. I also want to add option to pay with PayPal on all invoices. You know what? One thing I didn't check before I send this out. Let's look at our invoices again. Let's view this invoice. So send payment link. Okay. I don't think this is working either. Send payment link feature coming soon. Okay. So the payment link feature is not available. So that's something we need to do. And let's do view PDF. Let's see if that works. Wow. Okay. So the PDF does work. Insane. Creating PDF invoices for me now. Okay. So the PDF function works. The generate link does not. So let's just come back here and say, need you to finish creating the generate link area option for invoices so that I can simply email my client payment link to their invoices. They don't receive the email. Boom. All right. So I gave it a ton of stuff to do here. I have it on YOLO mode. I'm literally going to go grab my coffee and I'm going to be back in like 5 minutes and I'm going to see if this all worked. I'm actually going to be really surprised if this all works from this. So we shall see. So I'm going to be right back. Okay, so something strange is happening. It started working on this. It says, I'll help you implement these features. And it started with a client management system. And it basically started and then it just kind of stopped. So I said, please continue. And then it said, let's continue by this. And then it came to the Superbase TypeScript file again, but it just keeps stopping. So I'm just going to ask it, is there a reason why you keep stopping? Okay, so let's see if this works. I'm not sure why it was stopping, but let's see if this works. All right, so I'm not sure what is going on here. I'm going to try to fix this and I will report back as soon as I figured out what's going on. But basically, every time it starts trying to work on this Superbase TS file, it just stops for some reason. So let me figure out what's going on and I'll get right back. All right, so I think I figured out what the problem was. I think I was just asking for too much at one time, and I guess it was just breaking as I was trying to ask it for this huge amount of stuff all at once. So I'm just going to break this out. So I broke it out into the different sections. So I'm just asking for number 1 first, which is this clients area. So I basically just said, I'd like to finish the clients area. So add the clients, all that stuff we discussed already. So after I did that, it basically started working and it did everything that it's been normally doing. So it looks like it's working now. So it went ahead and did everything. I have it in YOLO mode. So I just sat back and watched it do it. And yeah, finish the database structure, API endpoints, client pages, integration with invoices, navigation, etc. So I went ahead and accepted all the changes. And what I'm going to do now is come back to here and type npm run dev. Now, the only thing I'm thinking that might not work is that this SQL file that I used to create the tables in Supabase might not have the new tables, right? So that's the only thing I'm thinking, that these tables might not be in my database yet, but maybe something it did along the way updated that. I'm not sure. So let's check it out. Let's see if it's working. I'm actually skeptical that it's going to work, to be honest, because of that reason, but we shall see. So let's test it out. Yeah. So as I suspected, we have an issue with the database. So I'm going to come back and I'm just going to feed it this error. Let's see if it actually picked this up. Last time I did this, it actually picked up the error. Okay, so it didn't do that. So I'm just going to say, you know what, before I feed it this error, let's go back to the home page. Okay, so the home page itself is just showing this error. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to send this error in and say, hey, we're getting this error now. All right, so fix the error. Or it thinks it did. And so now the app is running. So I see create invoices, manage invoices. I see manage clients and manage recurring invoices. So it looks like it started to do some of the work that I mentioned in that big piece. So this is actually kind of interesting to me. So let's go to create invoice. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we're getting an error here. And let's come to manage clients. Let's see if that works. Okay, so this area is working. So let's add our first client. Let's just say test.net. And we'll save this. Failed to create client, please try again. Okay, so we have a bunch of new issues now. Let's go one at a time. Let's start with this client issue where it's failing to create the client. Again, I think it's because it's not adding these tables to Supabase. And let's just come back to Supabase here. Let's look at our table editor. So we have invoices and line items. We don't have a clients table here. So I suspect that that is an issue. So I'm going to come back and I am going to let this know that we're having that issue, and let's see what happens. So let's close this actually. Okay. So I'm going to say we have two new issues. First is that, oh wait, it's already doing something. Oh, look at this. Wow. What is going on? Okay. The naming conflict error is fixed, but we're now seeing a new relation public clients does not exist. This means the database tables haven't been created in Supabase yet. Wow. Okay. So it read the error and it already is finding a solution here. So, okay. So it's just telling me to run the Supabase SQL file again. Now, did it make changes here to this file? Oh, wow. It did add a clients area. Okay. So I just got to run this again, I guess. So I think what's happening now is every time we do something to the database, I need to come back to the SQL editor and I need to rerun this. Invoices already exists. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to say there is an issue where when I run the same SQL file again in the editor, it lets me know that certain tables like invoices already exists. This is because I already ran a previous version of the SQL file you provided, didn't have the additional clients tables. So I think moving forward, we need to have a better method for updating the SQL so that I can run it with every new update we make to the database without affecting existing tables. Let's see what it says. I think this makes sense. There's an issue when I run the SQL file. Lets me know that these certain tables like invoices already exist. This is because I already ran a previous version of the SQL file you provided that didn't have this. So, okay, I think this makes sense. So you're absolutely right. When making database schema changes, we need a better approach that allows for incremental updates without affecting existing tables. This creates a migration style SQL file that only adds new tables and relationships without trying to recreate existing ones. Here's a better approach for handling database schema updates. Okay, this is way better. Okay. So essentially what it's going to do now, okay, so we actually have an error here, but essentially what this is going to do now is just create new SQL files for me to run and update the database without having to affect the existing database files. So this should work, I think. So there was an issue with Anthropic here. Request failed with status code of 400. Provider was unable to process the request. So let's try this again. Let's just hit try again. Okay, so we keep getting this issue with Anthropic. I'm not sure why. I'm just going to hit resume. Okay, so essentially it's giving us a new way to do this. So instead of just having a generic SQL file with all of the database structure, it's just giving me a new SQL file to add new database tables. So this should work. I think this will work. It's also updating the README file. So I guess when it comes back to read this later, or if a developer comes in to read this later, they can see the instructions for creating new files here. So it's saying how to run migrations. It's going through this process. Log into your Supabase dashboard, create new query, et cetera, and run the migration. So, and it's also explaining how to do this. Name the file with a sequential number, blah, blah, blah. So let's do this now. Let's go to this file and I'm going to accept that. And then I'm going to copy this and we're going to run this in Supabase. All right, let's run that. Success. Excellent. Okay. So our table should be in there. If I go back to the table editor, yes, we have recurring invoices, recurring line items. So it's interesting again that they added these tables, which is fine. And we have our clients and invoices and all the other stuff and payment links. So it, like I said, it looks like it started doing some of the other work here, which is fine. Actually, let's come back to the app and let's see if this is working. So let's just come back here. Let's do npm run dev. Let's see. Let's come back to our invoice generator. Let's run it. All right, let's go to view clients. Awesome. This is working now. Great. So we have our clients. So it always seems to add dummy data here, like fake data, which is fine. Let's view one of these fake clients. John Doe shows previous invoices, shows the client information. I love it. So let's try to create a new invoice. Let's see if this works. Okay. So we're having an issue with our invoice area. This is a new issue. So let's come back to our site. Let's go to create invoice. Okay. So let's see if it picks this up. So again, it's been picking this up already. It looks like it's okay. So it keeps failing here. I don't know if this is like an Anthropic issue or what's going on, but I'm just gonna hit. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do try again because it seems to already have fixed the issue. So I'm gonna leave that alone for now. I'm just gonna come in and copy this error, and I'm gonna say hey, we're having this error. So great, the clients, I'm not gonna say great. The client area works now, but when I go to invoices, I'm getting a new error. Here is the error. Now, I'm not sure if it's giving me this error because it added all this additional stuff, like this new database tables, like payment links, recurring invoices, recurring line items, all this stuff that I had already asked it for. I don't know if this is part of it. We'll see if it's able to fix it. I see the issue. It's coming from the select component. So let's see. I have it in YOLO mode. Let's see if it fixes this. Okay, so, wow. Okay, wait, something's wrong. Did I close that? I think I did, yeah. Okay, let's run it again. It seems to think it fixed the issue, so let's run it again. Reload this. Okay, so it does look like it's working now. Let's go back to invoices. Okay, load invoices. Okay, so it does look like it's working now. Awesome. Okay, great. So let's just do a quick test invoice just in case. Oh, you see now we have our client area. Perfect. Okay, awesome. And it just fills this out automatically. Beautiful. We'll say test 1 at 01, and we'll create the invoice, and invoice is created successfully. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. This is so cool. I mean, we now have an invoice software that creates invoices, that saves the invoices, that generates PDFs, that you can add clients, manage clients. I'm like halfway there for recreating this software, which I think I only pay like 10 bucks a month for, I'll be honest, maybe 15 bucks a month. I don't know exactly how much it is, but it's not that expensive. But it doesn't matter because I hate it because it gives me a million different problems. And now I have a software that I've written support tickets to this company, Invoicely, and they just never respond, or it's like terrible responses. So I'll be very happy to move off their software. And again, I'm very, very excited that I'm able to I've already recreated half of it in like, I don't know, an hour, maybe less. So pretty cool stuff here. And this is just me running Cursor and just having it fix its own problem. So and just asking it for new features. So insanely cool. I'm very, very happy with this. And let's keep going. So I'm going to go to step number 2 of my steps here. So let's see. I'd like to set up recurring invoices. Let's see. So I copied the text I had sent before. So I'd like to set up recurring invoices with intervals. Let's just copy number 2. This is not ideal what I'm doing here. I'll just copy all this and I'll edit it here. Okay, so I'd like to set up recurring invoices. This will be a new type of invoice that we sent with timed intervals, blah, blah, blah. So let's send this in as well. Wow, so smart. So something about what I did earlier, it figured out that we already have an invoices table. This is something I was actually worried about. It was in the back of my head. Is it going to try to recreate the invoices table? So it knows that it already has this table that it added from my earlier request. So that's cool. And I think this is part of what it did with the README file. So it's saying, let's create the super base functions for recurring invoices, and let's create the necessary API endpoints. Pretty amazing. So let's just let this run and do its thing. And by the way, for anyone keeping track at home, this account had like 25 bucks in it. No, I'm sorry. I think like 20 bucks. I think it had $20 in it. It had 25, but I had already used like $5 worth of credit. So I think it had like 20 bucks in it. So all of this code has cost me less than $5 to create this so far. So for less than $5, I've created something that is 50% of what I pay $10 a month for. So if this costs me even the whole $20, then that's 2 months of the software that I've been paying for endless years. I mean, I've probably had this for like 10 years or something. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to save me money in the long run, and it's going to be way less frustrating than dealing with these people that I'm not happy with. So amazing that we've come this far already. And I don't need, even if there's additional features in this software, I don't need them, right? I'm only going to build the features that I need, launch that, and use that. That's the great thing about this new method of coding. I don't need to pay developers. I don't need to pay some software company. I build only the features I need. I use AI to do it. And then once it's launched, that's it. If I ever need to fix it, I come back to Cursor, we get things fixed, et cetera. If I need to add a new feature, I can come back to Cursor, add that feature, et cetera. It doesn't have to be rocket science, but I'm replacing SaaS that I use right now with SaaS that I'm going to build myself. So that is what's so exciting about this. That's what's so empowering about this. And of course, I could always sell this later, right? I could have it generate a logo for me. I could add a backend with Stripe, which we can get into in a later video. If you want to see that, drop a comment. Let me know you want to see that, and I'll work on that as well. All right, so let's see where we are here. So it has done step 1 to check the tables. It's created the functions. It's creating the API routes. It's creating the UI. So let's let this finish up and see what it looks like. And we're back. So if I scroll up here, basically what happened is I'm just going to show you a quick error and what I've been working on. So I had it do the next step, which is the recurring invoices, and something weird was happening where it would just abort. See how it says aborted when I scroll over there? It's kind of hard to read, but basically it would just abort. It wouldn't keep going. This isn't a token issue. Like I have plenty of tokens. I wasn't running it too fast. And then I would say, please continue. It wouldn't continue. It would do it again and it would abort. So then all I did was change it to 3.7 Sonnet thinking instead of just 3.7 Sonnet. And I said, please continue. It had a little thought process. It seems I'm having issues with the edit file function for the new page. Let me try to create the file with a smaller content first and then build it up. Whatever that did seemed to work, and it went ahead and finished all of this work here. So it looks like it's done. So here's a summary of what we've accomplished. Recurring invoices implementation. I've created a comprehensive recurring invoice system. I added recurring invoices and these two tables to the database, created relationships, added proper indexing, added TypeScript types, user interfaces, email functionality with resend, automated invoice generation. This is all great. So then it's saying, why did I use resend? I recommended and implemented resend because it's high deliverability. It's a modern API, email analytics. This is great because we do have an issue. If you've done anything with email in tech, it's very hard to get your emails delivered. So that's great. So next step, set up a resend account, create your API key, configure the API here. So let's go ahead and do that. To go to resend.com. I'm going to quickly create an account here. And just like that, I generated an API key. So let's see. Okay, so get your API key done. Add your resend API key to the env local file. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so it created a new example file because I already have an env.local file. So now it has an example file. So what I'm going to do is just copy the content of this area that's not already in there. And I'm going to add it to my env local file since we already have Supabase stuff in there. So I'm just going to add it right here. By the way, all of these keys I'm going to change or delete. So don't worry, you're not getting access to anything special. Plus, these are mostly free accounts anyway. So added the API key, next public email domain. So I guess we have to set up a domain here. Let's just call this lucidinvoice.com. Next public email from, we'll leave that at invoice generator. That's fine. Public app URL. Okay, so I'm going to ask it some questions because I don't really know how to answer the rest of these. So I'm just going to ask it here. How do I fill these out in the env file? I think I know how to do these two. I don't know about this one or this one. So let's just ask and see what it says. Okay, so resend API key, we already know that. Email configuration. See, you've set the email to Lucid Invoice, which is good. This should be a domain you verified with resend. You'll need to verify it. Used in the from field. I see. IG no reply at lucidinvoice.com. Okay, so that I'm going to change. We'll put that here. The next public app URL. This is correctly set for local development. When you deploy to production, change this to your actual domain. Okay, great. On API key, a strong random string. You can generate one online. All right, so we'll just generate one. Random key gen. We'll go there. All right, we'll just download a random one here. I'll put this here. I'll save this. Okay, so looks like the last thing I need to do is actually get a domain and set it up here with resend. So let me come back to resend. Let me set up a domain. So I should probably buy a domain first. Let's just use that same one, lucidinvoice.com. Okay, let me buy this domain and set these up real quick. This is going to take me like 2 minutes. I'm just going to buy it on namecheap.com. Okay, so this is actually taken. Kind of funny. Okay, I don't know who would want that domain. Let's just try AIinvoice.com. It's $3,000. All right, we're not going to do that. How about ainvoice.com? No. All right. Latin for easy. This is how I like to get domains sometimes. Facilisinvoice.com. Aha, it's not taken. Okay, facilisinvoice.com. We just say facile invoice. Perfect. Okay, so we'll continue. I will confirm order. And I now will check out with PayPal and we will have this invoice domain. All right, so we have our domain. So I just bought this new domain. It is right here. Now let's go back to our domains. So I'm going to manage this domain. If you've never used Namecheap, it's super easy. There's a million like these. So Namecheap basic DNS, that's fine. Let's go to advanced DNS. And this is where we're going to set it up. So let's go back to resend and let's follow the instructions. So we need to set an MX record. So let's do this right now. So I just went to custom MX record. So host right there. Host name, send, okay. Send, value is this, priority is 10, And then this is automatic, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So while that's adding, I'm just going to delete these, because these are old records we don't need. And we'll start adding our text record. So it's a text record that says send, copy the data, and this will be automatic as well. So we'll save that. We'll add one more text record. You can skip through all of this if you have no interest in learning how to do this, but if you're interested in learning how to set up email for your domain, this is pretty interesting stuff. All right, so that is all set up. So the last thing we have to do is set up this DMARC record here. So we'll come back to here, and I believe, no, so we don't do it here. So actually, yeah, I think it's just another text record. Yep, it's just a regular text record. So text, DMARC, that's the value, and it is automatic. Okay, done. All right, so all the records are set up. We have a new domain. I'm gonna click that I've added the records. This is gonna take a few minutes to find, oh, whoops, sorry. This is the wrong domain. That's right, I forgot. Remove domain, whoops. I'm just gonna hit delete. We'll do that all over again. Just gonna make sure these are exactly the same. Feedback, it's SPF record. This domain key. And the DMARC should be exactly the same, yeah. Okay. All right, so while that's working and while that's verifying, I'm gonna come back here, I'm gonna accept all these changes, and we are gonna go back to our app and we're gonna test a few things out. So I wanna test out the recurring invoice functionality. So let's see if that works. So I'm back in our terminal here, and I'm just gonna type npm run dev, oh, whoops, cd my app. Okay, so we had a recurring invoices tab before, but it should hopefully work now. Okay, so it's added 2 dummy recurring invoices that don't really exist, but that means that this area is working. So I'm gonna hit create new recurring invoice. So it's gonna have a prefix. So we can set this prefix to just be like Lucid, right? It's for my company. Frequency, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, perfect. Let's do monthly. We can set up one of our clients here. We can set a start date, client name, next invoice date, and an end date, which is optional, right? So if this does end at some point, it will be optional. So I'll just put test.com. I don't want this to actually go to anybody. Test 1, and I will create that recurring invoice. Okay, I'm getting an error here, failed to create recurring invoice. I wonder if that has something to do with the email provider. So let's wait on this. But in the meantime, I'm gonna come back to Cursor. Let's see if it picked up that error automatically. So it didn't pick it up automatically. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm actually gonna switch it back to just 3.7 Sonnet, because I think thinking takes more credit. So I'm gonna try to use as little credits as possible. And I'm just gonna say, so you can see in the terminal how it gave us our error here. Error recreating recurring line items, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just gonna say, tried creating a new recurring invoice and I got this error. Please fix. All right, let's see if it fixes it. All right, so it seems to have fixed that error. Let's accept all. Okay, so I'm just going to run it again. Let's come back to our recurring invoice generator. Let's try this one more time. Just doing a test one here. Nice, okay, created successfully. There it is, sweet. So I think this should, I mean, the idea is that this should email. So now the edit function is not working, so that's not good. Let's see if the delete function is working. Okay, delete function is working, edit function is not. Okay, so let's just report back, let it know the edit function is not working. The edit function for recurring invoices is not working. And this is what we call vibe coding. We sit here and we test our app, we find errors, we look for things we want to build out, and we have AI do it for us. I mean, that's basically how this works. It's really not that hard. I'm pretty sure that my 12-year-old little niece could do this. I mean, it's so easy. Like, it's literally you just sit here and do it. Obviously, I have a little bit of knowledge, which helps guide me a little bit. So having a little bit of knowledge of how these things generally work, but it's really not that hard. So I really think anybody could do this. And you'll see by the end of this, we are going to have a fully working app that's going to replace Invoicely, which I've hated for years, and it's going to be awesome. So that is where we are going. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so we ran into that issue again where it just stops working. And just so that you can see what happens, basically, this is what it looks like for me. I don't know, maybe you won't have this issue. This is just an issue I'm facing. So to help you out if you're facing it too. We get to this point, and it's always with the page.tsx file for whatever reason, maybe because these end up being large files. You can see here it says, now let's create the edit page for recurring invoices. And if you see, I scroll over here, there's an X and it says aborted. So when this issue happens, I have not found any way to fix it other than switching to Sonnet Thinking. So switching to Sonnet Thinking, and I'm just going to say, please continue, and hopefully this will work. Okay, so that worked. So again, the solution is to just switch to Sonnet thinking if you get stuck like that. So it did work, did a bunch of cool stuff here that it says it can do. I'm not even going to read all this. I'm just going to let it ride. I'm going to hit accept all, and we are going to npm run dev. By the way, quick side note, this is now complete. So resend is set up for this domain. That, I mean, it took about 10 minutes to verify, and it took me about 3 minutes to buy a domain and set it up. So you can see how simple setting up email is here, really simple. So we have database and email set up for this site. We also have a domain that we're eventually going to put it on, which I'll show you later on. So we have the new app set up. So let's take a look at it. Let's see if recurring invoices are working. And then we're going to test out an email here. So we're going to manage our recurring invoices. We see we have 2 here. Let's just try to edit one. Let's see if this works. Okay, so the edit function is now working, I should say. So let's create new recurring invoice. Let's just test this out. Lucid, test, frequency monthly. I'll enter the client manually. I'll say Mark, and I'll give one of my emails here. I want to see if this actually sends me an email. Let's see. Test 1, 1, boom. Let's create it. Okay, recurring invoice created successfully. So I want to add an option here that says send another email or send reminder email. So I'm going to see if this shows up in my email. I doubt it. Let's see. I mean, even if it does show up, it's probably going to take a little time. It's not going to send automatically. So no, it has not shown up yet. So let's just check here. Welcome to resend. Okay, that's the wrong email. Let's see. And yeah, does not look like it has arrived. So let me just go to spam, see if it's in here. Yeah, so it has not arrived, which is fine. So let's come back. Let's do a few things. So let's come back to Cursor and let's say, okay, so I'm going to say, like to add 2 new features. One, when I create a recurring invoice, should give me an option to immediately invoice via email. Recipient. 2, when I am in the recurring invoices tab reviewing all my invoices, I'd like to add a button to send a reminder email. Also like to add this option to send both emails and reminder emails to regular invoices. All right, so that should work fine when a regular invoice is generated. You know what? That should be fine. Okay. Lastly, I'd like a way for admins, like a way as an admin to be able to test the email functionality and make sure it's working without emailing clients. Okay, this is just adding a bunch of email features, so I'm able to actually send emails via the app. This should all work, hopefully. I think I wrote that out pretty well, but essentially I have no way of knowing if this is sending emails. I don't even know if it's attempting to send emails. I don't have any emails. If I'm creating a recurring invoice, it should obviously send an email. So this way it gives me the option to do that. I can then test it, and then I can send reminder emails, which is something I do at times for these invoices. So all pretty important stuff. And then I think the last thing I need to do here at some point is create a proper, well, this is offline right now, but create a proper like menu on the top so that I can click through, like a sidebar menu or a top menu, because right now it's kind of inconvenient without having that. So let's let it do its thing, and I will get back as soon as this is all created and we will test it out. All right, so it looks like it's done. Let's go ahead and accept this. And let's see if this works. Okay, so let's go to recurring invoices. Okay, I don't see that option to send a reminder email. So let's edit this one. I'm actually not seeing any of these changes that I asked for. Let's come back here, go to the invoice detail page with, okay, I don't see any of this stuff. That's so weird. Okay. Let's check on the actual invoices page. Nope, I'm not seeing it here. And I'm not seeing it here. Okay, let's just come back and let it know that those are not there. Yeah, this is actually a first in this whole project, that it tells me that it did something and I'm not seeing the actual changes. I wonder if I read something wrong here. Maybe I accepted all of them. They should be in there. Let's see. All right, so it thinks it fixed the issue. Issue should be fixed now. Fixed dialog component. Added proper null handling, added buttons, fixed visual issues. All right, so we're just gonna accept and let this ride and see if it works. You know what, let me restart the app too. All right, let's go to recurring invoices first. I still don't see it, that's so weird. Oh, okay, here's one. Set notification email to the client, okay. Okay, so I see one, but I don't see the reminder one. Let's check on the regular invoices page. Okay, we have an email testing area. Okay, so that's 2. Okay, here I don't see it. So it's in some places, but it's not in all of them. I think really the best way to do this that I'm realizing is you don't want to ask for a ton of requests at the same time. If you do that, you're going to end up not getting what you're looking for and it's going to stop. So you have to go one request at a time. So I keep trying to ask for too many things at once. I think that's my biggest issue here. So I'm going to try to fix that. But for now, let's just test this email. Let's go to test email settings. Let's send a test email. Let's see if this works. All right, send a test. Okay, so here is the email. Here's the message we got. Drop this into Cursor. Got this error when I tried to do an email send test. You know what? I'm going to switch back to Sonnet 3.7. I actually have a feeling that it's better and that 3.7 thinking should only be used when you get stuck. So I'm going to go with that for now. Okay, so it's saying that the reason I was getting this issue is because the resend package was not installed. So maybe switching to 3.7 Sonnet was the move there. It says the package has successfully been installed. Now you should be able to use the email functionality. Give us some details as to why. Make sure you've set up ENV local, right? We already did that. And everything else should be good. So let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. Okay, let's try it one more time. Boom. All right, looks like it's sent. Nice. Let's see if we actually got it this time. Nice. Nice. The email sent. Nice. Nice. Okay. So database officially configured, email officially configured. Okay. Let's work out these last little bugs here and let's start putting a bow on this thing because we're pretty close to done, at least for what I need. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to have it put together a menu for me. It's really annoying to use this without a main menu. So I'm just going to say, please create a sidebar menu and a simple logo, text logo that says, what did I call this? Facile invoice. Okay. This way I can, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, because not having a sidebar menu, kind of a pain in the butt. So let's have it create our sidebar menu for us here. Once we do that, once we have our sidebar menu, I want to add, let's come back. I want to make sure we get some of the email stuff cleaned up. Okay, I'm offline right now. I want to make sure we get some of the email stuff cleaned up. What else? I think we're really close to done here. So we have a client area, we have recurring invoices, we have email functionality. Okay, we want to add Stripe and PayPal, and then we also want to do the generate link. Okay, there's a few last steps I want to do, and then we should be pretty much good to go. So let's try and wrap all this up. Man, I love YOLO mode. I love that it actually runs these commands for me and I don't have to do anything. And yeah, 3.7 Sonnet seems to be the winner right now, at least from my tests. Thinking gets stuck in weird ways. And I did try to revert to 3.5 Sonnet and it does still work well, but 3.7 Sonnet definitely works better. So we have been flying with 3.7 Sonnet. So let's get this wrapped up. Let's see what it does. And let's finish this thing up. All right, so it says the sidebar menu's done. Let's run it. Check it out. Boom. Boom. We are getting there. We are so close. Actually, there's one last thing I need to add here. I'm just going to put this on my big ugly text file. I'm going to put at the end here, 5. Need to add a login feature. That's it. We need to add a login feature. And an add a user feature. I'm not going to open this up to registration once I'm done, but here we go, guys. We have our dashboard, we have our invoices, we have recurring invoices, we have a clients tab, we have our test email tab, we even have a settings tab that does nothing right now. So we'll see what it can do with the settings tab. I'll add that as well. I don't even know what we would do with the settings tab, to be honest, but whatever. We'll leave it there for now. So let's wrap the last parts of these up here. Man, even this dashboard is awesome, huh? So cool. This is what I'm trying to replace, by the way, and I already like it way more. So this is so much cleaner for me, so much better. I even have light and dark mode if I want to switch them out. So much cleaner, so much better, and we are almost there. Okay, so let's start wrapping these last few things up. So what is our last thing here? Okay, let's fix the email things because we still have that issue. So like we want to send reminder emails here, and then when you're sending when you're creating an invoice, oh, it does have send email now. Okay, send reminder. Okay. Send invoice email, send payment reminder. Okay. Send payment link. Wow. I mean, it's like almost done. Okay. What about in recurring? Let's go to recurring. Okay, so on this recurring one, I'm not seeing that. Okay, so let's do this. Let's come back here. Let's close this. Let's say, great, things are looking really good. For the recurring invoices, I'd like to add another area where I can see all the individual invoices that were sent for a recurring cycle. If I set up a recurring monthly invoice that has sent 6 previous invoices, I'd like to see those and be able to view and edit them. All right, that should be pretty simple. Let's let that do its thing. So essentially, like for my recurring invoices, yes, I see the recurring invoices, but for Acme Corp, if I've sent them 6 invoices, I want to be able to see that I've sent them 6 invoices, and I want to be able to see those 6 invoices. So hopefully it understands what I'm asking for, and it can go ahead and write this out for me. All right, so it looks like it's done. Database updates, API endpoints. Okay, so it created a migration file that can be run to update your base schema. How to use this. Okay, so I'm going to apply all, and I'm going to say, I think I need to do something with the database. Is there anything I need to do to get this to work? Run that SQL file in Supabase. Because I think I do, but it didn't make it very clear. So let's see what it says. Okay, so I do need to do this. So I need to run this in Supabase. So let's come here. Let's copy this. And let's run this in Supabase. Okay, looks like that's done. Let's go to our table editor. Let's see if it's in here. I don't know. I don't know if that did anything. Hopefully it works. All right, let's try it. Let's see. Okay, so I don't see anything right now. Go to edit. Okay, I don't see anything right now. I don't know how this is supposed to work. Let's see. So I'm just going to ask it, can you add some dummy data to those? Okay, I'm just going to say, I'm not seeing any of the tracking feature in the app. Can you add some dummy data? I can visualize it and test it. It usually does this. Not sure why it didn't this time, but we'll see. Because it might work, it might not work, or it might work and just not be showing me because I don't have any data in there. So let's see what it says. I know this is turning out to be a long video, definitely not in my usual style here, but I am doing my best to make this as comprehensive of a video as possible for you. So just to kind of recap, we have just in this video, we have created a system from scratch, a new invoice generating system. We have added invoices. We've added recurring invoices. So you can now generate invoices, generate recurring invoices. We've added email functionality, database functionality. We have a sidebar menu, and everything works really well so far with a few minor bugs and a few features that we're trying to add. So right now we are adding the recurring invoice feature with the email functionality. I'm asking it to add some dummy data so that I can actually visualize the recurring feature and see individual invoices. Again, I'm doing this for myself. I'm trying to basically replace a piece of software that I use. And so hopefully this will be able to do that for me. So let's see, it went ahead and it looks like it fixed the script. So I'm going to go ahead and accept this. And steps to run the fixed script. I'm going to come back here. We are going to copy this again, and we're going to try this one more time in Supabase.
All right, so it went ahead and added some dummy data for us. And it gave me a link to test this. Okay, so let's do this now. Let's run this. Okay, so let's add this dummy data. Let's come back to Supabase. Let's drop this, run it. Success, okay. Then run the dummy data script. Okay, so where's that? Okay, so let's run this script now. Let's come back here. Let's run this. Okay, we had an issue here. Maybe did I copy this correctly? Let's try it now, run. Okay, so we're getting some kind of an error here. Okay, so I'm just gonna let it know we have an error. So on step 1, part 6, I added the dummy data SQL file
and it gave me the following error.
I know this is turning out to be a long video, definitely not in my usual style here, but I am doing my best to make this as comprehensive of a video as possible for you. So just to kind of recap, we have just in this video, we have created a system from scratch, a new invoice generating system. We have added invoices. We've added recurring invoices. So you can now generate invoices, generate recurring invoices. We've added email functionality, database functionality. We have a sidebar menu, and everything works really well so far with a few minor bugs and a few features that we're trying to add. So right now we are adding the recurring invoice feature with the email functionality. I'm asking it to add some dummy data so that I can actually visualize the recurring feature and see individual invoices. Again, I'm doing this for myself. I'm trying to basically replace a piece of software that I use. And so hopefully this will be able to do that for me. So let's see, it went ahead and it looks like it fixed the script. So I'm going to go ahead and accept this. And steps to run the fixed script. I'm going to come back here. We are going to copy this again, and we're going to try this one more time in Supabase. Okay, that worked. Awesome. Let's come back and run the app. Let's see if we can see it. Actually, let's go back and see one more thing. So step one was to run the database migration, run the data script, restart your development for feature, and then explore. Okay, so it should be good to go. npm run dev, come back, and let's see if this works, if we have some dummy data. Okay, so we have a lot more invoices here. I'm not seeing anything more in the recurring section. So maybe what they're doing is they're just adding the recurring invoices here. Let's click on one of these. Oh, I see. This is a recurring invoice. Okay, good. So it's adding the recurring invoices here. I see. This actually makes a lot of sense to me. This is really good. Okay, so I am just going to have it put a note here that says recurring, right? Let me know this is a recurring invoice. Okay, so great. I see them now. However, I need you to add a column in the invoices area that lets me know which invoices are recurring and also a link to the recurring invoice that generated that invoice. So I need to, add recurring invoice indicators to the invoice list. So it should do that now. Okay, it added that column. Let's check that out. I'm going to accept that. I'm not even going to restart the app. Let's see if that works. Boom. Lets me know it's recurring, and it gives me a view template. Boom. Awesome. I don't know what this view template is. That's weird. Okay, so edit is now not working here. So let's fix that. And then I don't know what this view template is. I'm just going to have it remove that. Or I'm just going to say it shouldn't say that. I don't know. Let's see what it says. All right, we ran into that little abort issue again. We know how to fix that. Go to thinking and say, please continue. Wonder how many credits I have left. Okay, I've used only like $9 worth of credits. That's funny. Okay, let's accept that. Let's see if this works. Okay, perfect. So now it just says recurring or one time. If I hit edit, hopefully this works now. Okay, it works. Cool. Perfect. I can view the PDF. I can send an invoice email. I can delete the invoice. I can send a payment reminder. This is awesome. Let's just do a test here. Awesome. Man, we're so close. This is so close. Okay, we just have a few last features we want to implement, and we will get started on that right now. Let's start wrapping this thing up. So we are very, very close, and we have our last line items. So we have our client section, we have recurring invoices with email functionality. So now we need to add the option to pay with credit card using Stripe and a PayPal option as well. For now, I'm just going to stick to PayPal. We're actually not going to use Stripe. I don't use PayPal as much anymore. I'm more sticking to Stripe. So we're just going to stick with Stripe for this for now. So let's come back to Cursor. Cursor. Let's put this back on 3.7 Sonnet. Okay, great. Now I'd like to add the option on each invoice to have the payments made Stripe. Let's add a Pay Now button on the invoices that link to a Stripe payment page, which they can use a credit card to complete. All right, so this is one of the last things we need. I'd like to add the option to pay on each invoice to have the payments made in Stripe. Let's add a Pay Now button to the invoices that links to a Stripe payment page, which they can use they can use a credit card to complete. So actually, you know what? I might change that a little bit, but let's see what they can do. Okay, so they're going to set up a Stripe integration, create a payment API endpoint, add a Pay Now button, and create a payment success cancel page. Okay, this is pretty good. Let's see this go. Okay, so it looks like it's done. So I'm going to accept all these changes and let's see Stripe payment integration. I've added a Pay Now button to each invoice, created a backend implementation with API endpoints. Perfect. Added Stripe variables to the local. So we need to set up the Stripe API keys on env.local. And then we need to use a Stripe test card to test this out. So let's do that right now. Let's come to our env.local. Let's see, where do they have the Stripe stuff? So we have the Stripe stuff here. So let's add that to our live env page. Stripe secret key. So I am in Stripe. Obviously, you're gonna have to create a Stripe account if you want to do this, but I am in Stripe right now, and I am going to set up an API key. So developers, let's go to this area, API keys. So these are just test keys. Obviously, if you're using real Stripe, it's the exact same thing. It's just a test environment. So let's see, we need our Stripe secret key and our public publishable key. So this is our secret keys. We're going to copy that, drop that right there, get our publishable key, and we'll drop that right there. I will save that, and we will come back to our app and we will try this out. So let's come to one of our invoices here, click on it, and we see we have a Pay Now option. Perfect. Click that. Amazing. Look at that. Wow. Okay. Perfect. So now we have the option to pay this. So I believe it gave me the Stripe test information, 424242. All right. I think the rest of this, you can just make it whatever. All right. Let's pay that. Boom. Payment successful. Thank you for your payment. Your invoice has been marked as paid. Let's view the invoice. This is so freaking amazing. I'm like so happy that I'm able to do this. I can't tell you how happy this makes me. Okay. So it's now a paid invoice. And if I come back, you see it has a status of paid. So very, very awesome stuff here. I am so happy about this, guys. So, I mean, next one is ticked off. I want to add the option to add Stripe. Again, we're going to skip the PayPal stuff. I don't really use it anymore. I don't need to use it. I don't want to have to log into 2 accounts. Stripe is perfect. So we are done with step number 3. I need you to finish creating the generate link option for invoices so I can simply email a client a payment link to their invoices so they can pay for it and not receive emails. So it already does this. So if I come here, actually, let me come back to one that isn't paid. There was a generate link somewhere. I believe I saw, maybe not. Okay. So let's just have it do this for us. Let's come back to Cursor and let's say, great. Now I'd like you to generate a page for each invoice. So the way this will work is on each invoice while I'm in the dashboard, I can click a button that says generate invoice link, and this will create a separate page for the invoice with all the details, payment options that I can email to a client. Page will be publicly accessible and not part of and side of the app, so it won't have any menu items, can be read and accessed by anyone. So this is something that I'm already able to do with my other invoice software. I like this a lot because what I do is I'll send somebody an invoice. I'll give them the details. I say, hey, here's the details to your invoice. Here's a link to pay for it. They click the link. It's a new page for the invoice. They can just click that, pay the invoice, and move on. So it just makes things really, really simple. I guess some of the last things maybe I'd want to do is add like my logo and business info. Oh, you know what? That will do in the settings tab. That's perfect. Add my logo and business info to the invoices dynamically. So then, yeah, well, after we're done with this, we will do a login feature and an add a user feature, and then we'll get the settings tab, and then we're done. This whole project is done, and I'm really, really happy with it so far. I'm really happy how easy this went too. I've been coding with AI for a long time. We've come a very long way. I mean, this is incredible. In about the year that I've been doing this, it's come a really long way. And I think things like 3.7 Sonnet, Obviously, Cursor has gotten way, way better. I've been hearing a lot about Windsurf, MCPs, things like that. I'm going to dive into that in some later videos. But to be honest, if you followed along this whole video so far, congrats to you. You've literally learned how to build your own app. You can add payment to it. You can add a database to it. You can add email functionality. You can do anything you want now. And I've walked you through this entire process. You don't need to write any code at all. So really amazing stuff. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. So let's see what's going on here. So this is almost done. I don't know why it's playing around with the PDF stuff. You know, sometimes it kind of does some extra stuff that's not necessary, but let's see what this looks like when it's done. All right, looks like that's done. Let's accept it. Let's see how to use this feature. Public invoice page, invoice link. Okay, so there's nothing else I have to do, it looks like. So let's just come back to the app. Let's go to our dashboard. Let's go to our invoices. Let's click on one that's been sent. Here we go. Generate invoice link. Perfect. Let's click that. Link copied. Let's open it in a new tab. Okay, so this is good. The only problem is it's still adding the sidebar here, which I don't like. So keep opening OBS thinking it's Cursor. Okay, so I'm going to say this is working. However, it's still showing the sidebar to be an independent page with no sidebar navigation. So hopefully it understands what I mean. But basically, like if I'm sending this to a client, I don't want them to see this, right? I just want them to see the invoice itself, right? With the pay now link, etc. So let's see what it says. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, I figured out exactly what I want. So let's do that right now. And then I think the last thing, I'm going to do the settings tab next. And then the last thing I'll do is the login feature. So we'll do the settings tab where I can add my logo, business info to the invoices. And then the login feature will be the last thing we do. And I'll even add like an add user registration feature as well. Okay. So it looks like it's done. Perfect. Let's accept and let's check it out. Okay. Way better. It still has it. Hold on. Let me refresh it. Okay. There's something weird going on here. Okay, let me just feed this error in. Getting the following. You know what? Before I do that, let me try something. Let me just try restarting the app. I didn't restart it. That might have something to do with it. Let's try that. Probably not, but let's try it. Now, so this looks good. It's just putting the menu on the bottom still, and it's giving us these errors. So I'm just going to let it know. So I'm just saying it looks good, but the menu is now on the bottom and I'm getting 3 runtime errors when I visit a public invoice page. So I'm going to send this in and hopefully it just fixes this for me like it has been this whole time. All right. So it looks like it's done and fixed. At least it thinks it is. So let's run it again. Okay. So it's still giving me those errors. Okay. So I don't know why. Let me try something else. Let me come back. Let's go back to our app. Okay. So something broke here because now we don't have any CSS at all on our main app. So here's what I'm going to do. We faced our first like major issue here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come here and I'm going to roll this back. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to hit restore checkpoint. Okay. Now, when I do that, it rolls back all the code. At least it should, in theory, roll back all that code. So let me just close this. Came back here, restored this checkpoint. So that should have rolled back our code. So let's come here. Whoops. Let's come back here and restart the app. Okay. So the app is now working again, which is great. We still have that issue with the invoice. So it didn't fix it. So if I go to the invoice link and I copy that, it didn't fix it, but it did break some stuff. So I think what I'm going to have it do is come up with a different approach here for this. I think I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm thinking about this differently. I think maybe one of the issues here is that I don't have logged in users. So I think that might be one of the reasons why this is happening. So let's take a step back and let's work on something else. So I'm going to leave this alone for now. We're going to leave this alone and we're going to come in here and we're going to say, now I'd like to develop users into the system. I'd like to create levels of users. Say, actually, no, let's make this easier. Develop users into the system and register and set up to send invoices through the system. It will create a new login an area for each user and will have settings where the user can add logo, phone number, email, and address for their business, which will appear on their invoices. Let's do that first. So basically what I'm trying to do now is I'm going to skip to this step. I'm going to try to do these 2 steps at the same time, and then I'm going to fix this generate link because this generate link, because it works outside of a user area, I think that's what's messing it up. So I'm going to create the user area first and then have it do the generate link option for non-logged in users. Hopefully that makes sense to me. I could be way off base, but let's see. Let's try it out. Let's see if it works. All right, so it's done. This was a huge request. There was a lot of work done here. To be honest, I'm skeptical this is going to work right out of the box, so to speak, but we shall accept all and give it a run. I think, yeah, I got to do a database run in Supabase. Let's do that now. I'm just copying and pasting, running. Okay, I had a feeling that was not going to work, so let's see. So I'm just feeding it the error that I got when I tried to run this in Supabase. Something about this didn't look right to me, so I think maybe it linked me to the wrong area or something. Okay, so it's giving me instructions and it took me to this SQL file. Oh, okay, this looks way better. Okay, so access SQL editor, copy only the content, run this. Okay, done. So that's what we'll do. Simple. Yeah. Weird. It didn't link me to the right one before, but we figured it out. So again, just asking them and showing them the error, they gave us the right thing to do. Okay, so we still have an error here. So let's give it this error. So just feeding that in there. Okay, so seems to think it fixed it. So let's try it again. Success. Okay, so it worked. Nice. So after running the script, update your API endpoints. Let me go back to the original one. What did it say? Next steps, run the database migration, update existing API endpoints, test the system. I mean, how do I do this? I don't know. How do I do this? Question mark. Quick side note, something really strange just happened. I just got a threat block detector on the command line from AVG. Very odd. I'm going to just move it to quarantine. I don't know if this is Cursor and Claude running. That's what it detected. I have no idea. I'll worry about that later. For now, we'll keep doing what we're doing, but that is kind of odd. I hope there's nothing wrong with my PC, so I'll do that later. But anyways, this looks like it's done. So we're going to accept all here, and we're going to read through what it says, set up the database schema, update your API endpoints, update your database utility functions. And okay, so I'm a little confused what it's asking me to do here. Like, why is it asking me to edit code? That's kind of weird. It's going to say, I'm not capable of editing any code. Please do all of that yourself and let me know if I need to do anything outside of writing code, like running scripts in Supabase or updating tokens in env files. I do remember this happening before, it telling me to do something and I would just have to tell it, no, you do it. But it's actually been a long time since I've seen that. So I'm kind of curious why it's doing this. I'm a little confused, but we'll see what it does. All right, so basically at this point, I had to employ Claude Sonnet agent to help me out. Agent then fixed the issue. I'm sorry, Claude Sonnet thinking, then fixed the issue. I was having that auth issue. So basically it was telling me to do some extra work. I didn't know exactly what it wanted me to do. So I basically told it, do the coding for me and then explain the rest, because I was asking it to create that authentication, the logged in users, et cetera, et cetera. So basically it did that. It was giving me errors. I kept feeding it the errors. I followed its instruction again to update this database in Supabase. You've seen me do that a bunch of times in this video. And that was it. I just kept feeding it the errors, having it fix the errors, and it basically got through the whole process. So I basically haven't done anything else, just fed it and fixed those errors pretty much. The last thing I asked it to do was to create a homepage for me, because what was happening was the homepage that it gave me was like the dashboard with a login, so it didn't look great. So basically it went ahead and fixed all those errors. And then I said, thanks. On the homepage, please make it a SaaS style homepage with a few feature highlights, keep it clean, stylish, and simple. And it went ahead and did that. So here's where we are. I'm really happy with this. I think it's awesome, extremely clean, simple, exactly what I was asking for, does everything we want. It even knows what we're looking for. I mean, I'm sorry, it's basically advertising what the app does. So it didn't even make this stuff up, right? It has a Stripe integration, it does all this. I didn't write any of this. It did this all for me. So amazing stuff, looking really cool. So let's actually test out the register function. So I'm going to come here and register. So let's do that. Let's see if this works. Okay. So I'm getting an unauthorized. So let's see what's going on here. You know what? I'm not going to try to debug this. Just going to come back here and say, I'm trying to register, but I'm getting a message that says unauthorized. Let's see what it says. This isn't an error necessarily, right? It's just a message. So I could even open up my console, see if I get an error. Failed to load resource. So I don't know if any of these are real errors we should worry about, but let's see what Cursor does for us here. But as far as the design goes, I'm really happy with it. This design looks great. Create an account. The login page looked good too. I tested this also. Perfect. Exactly what we needed. So okay, so seems to think that it fixed the problem. So let's try it out. Registration successful. So let's go to the dashboard. Nice. Only thing I didn't like is that after I registered, it didn't direct me straight to the dashboard. So I'm just gonna put a quick note here. I'm not gonna test this right now, but I'm just gonna say, just make a quick update so that when a new user registers or logs in, that it takes them straight to the dashboard. Okay, so it's going to write that for me. But if I click here, we have our dashboard. Amazing. The only thing I actually don't like is that we have a menu on the top too. We don't need two menus here. We just need one menu. So let me fix that really quick too. Let me say also after a user is logged in and in the dashboard area, remove the top menu. Sure, it's just the side menu. Top menu should only be seen. Okay, so it's creating a welcome message. That's kind of cool. Okay, let's accept that. Let's come back. Perfect. Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, this looks great. Let's come back here. I'm gonna give it this message here. After users logged into the dashboard area, remove the top menu and make sure it's just showing the side menu. The top menu should only be seen when there's a logged out user. So let's fix that too real quick. And then we will wrap up the settings and fix the links, and then we should be done. This project should be pretty much done. And then the last step is I'll deploy it to Vercel. I'll show you guys how to do that too. So we'll wrap the whole thing up. And throughout the entire course of this video, you'll see me go from absolutely nothing to a fully developed SaaS app that you could sell online, use yourself, and literally, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but maybe around an hour. All right, looks like it's done. We shall accept all, as is customary. And do I reload it? Do that. Back to Cursor. All right, let's close this. Yes, let's terminate that. Okay, npm run dev. Let's see what we got. Whoops, not 300, 3000. All right, let's try to log in with our new user. Okay, so we do have an error now on the dashboard. Let's let it know. Okay, let's try it out. Looks like it fixed it. Let's see if it did. Okay, looks like it works. Let's just try that one more time. Let's log out. Let's log in. Boom, we have done it. We have a fully working invoice app with a homepage, with a login function, with a registration function. We have everything we need here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a big deal. We have gone a long, long way, okay? So, of course, I will still find some errors. We'll fix them as they come along. Let's wrap this up. Let's add the last few features here. I'm gonna go to my business profile. I wanna set this up. So let's set this up, put my business name, business email. Okay, upload a logo, max 2 MB. I wonder if this is gonna work. Oh, that's right. There was something else I had to do. Let me have it remind me because I totally forgot. I needed to do something in Supabase for storage, for logo storage. Let me scroll up here. Let's see if I can find it. If I can't find it quickly, I will just ask it to help me with this. You know what? Let me just try this, see if this works. It's probably not gonna work, but let's just give it a shot. Why not? Let's do this. Just grab my logo from here. Okay, it worked. Interesting. Okay, maybe I don't have to do anything. Let's fill this out. See if this works. Okay, yeah. I had a feeling there was going to be an issue here. Okay, so I do remember it telling me something about doing something in Supabase here. So let me just pause this real quick. Let me come back here and let's find this. So when I add my business profile settings, I'm getting this error. I remember it saying something about setting up a bucket here, storage, something in storage. Yeah, setting up like a bucket here. So I don't know. I'll just call this. Well, you know what? Let me see what it says. Okay, so it seems to have pointed out the issue. It's exactly what I thought. I had to set up a bucket in Supabase. So it's saying how to fix the issue. Go to Supabase, select your project, navigate to storage, click new bucket, name the bucket business-logos. Okay. Enable the public bucket option, create the bucket, return your business profile, and try again. Okay, so let's do that. We're already here. New bucket, public bucket, save it, done. Let's come back. Let's npm run dev. Let's try this again. Probably gonna have to sign in again. No, I'm still signed in. Perfect. Okay. All right, let's upload this Image again. Okay, save profile. New row violates row level security policy. Okay, new issue. Let's come back to cursor. Now when I try to save the business profile, I get this error. All right, so let's see what it says. Let's accept the changes and let's look over this. What I've done, enhanced error handling, updated the upsert business profile function, blah, 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 improved, blah, blah, blah. How to fix the issue. Option 1, disable RLS for the business profiles table, quickest for development. Okay, option 2, create appropriate RLS policies, create a policy that allows users, blah, 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 click authentication in the sidebar. Okay, so why don't we do option 2, navigate table editor, business profiles. Let's do that. Let's go to Supabase, table editor, business profiles. See, it already has something going on here. Okay, how do we create a policy? View policies, no policies created, create policy. I don't know if I know how to do this. Okay, I'm not even gonna bother with this. I'm just gonna come back and I'm gonna say, let's go with option 2 and let's make this foolproof for the future. Can you make these changes for me so I don't have to do anything in Supabase at all? Thanks. Kind of just taking a shot in the dark. I have no idea if it's going to let me do this. Let's see if it works. All right, so it looks like it's done. Let's see if this fixed the issue. Create an automatic setup, automatically use business storage bucket if it doesn't exist. Okay, so how to complete this setup, go to Supabase, project settings API, copy the service role key, not the anon key, and add it to your env local file. Okay, let's do that now. Back to Supabase. Let's go to our integrations. No, where's the API? Settings, API. Service role, secret. Okay, I'm gonna blur this, but I'm gonna reveal it for a second. Okay, we're gonna drop that here. Save it, great. Supabase setup complete. Close it, let's restart the app. Let's see if this works finally. All right, come back. Oh, something's wrong here. Let's see. Okay, so now we have this error. Let's see. Setting up your application, setup failed. Supabase setup failed. Check server logs for details. All right, let's feed this error. Oh, you know what? I didn't accept all. Maybe that was the problem. Let me do that. Okay, wait, let's try this one more time. Okay, let's come back to cursor, feed it the problem, and we shall keep going. Now I'm getting this error when I start the app. Okay, it should be done. Let's see. Simplified the setup. Enhanced the logo, made this more robust, improved error handling, next steps, save your business, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's accept. There's nothing I have to do. Come back. We'll run this again. Let's sign in. Okay, let's complete this business profile. Fingers crossed this works this time. Do this quickly. Come on, baby. Let's go. Yes, it worked. Nice. Here's our business profile. Beautiful. Okay, so sweet. Let's just create an invoice. Let's see if this works. I'll just call this test client, test.com, blah, 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 rate of 1. Create the invoice. Ooh, failed to create invoice. Okay, there's something I did wrong here. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so you can see we tackle one problem, we end up with another. We're getting closer. So let's try to wrap up these last few problems. So I see the error here. So I'm just gonna copy this and I'm gonna say, now when I try to create an invoice, I get this error. Indicates that the total column in the invoice table cannot be null. I don't see a total column. Okay, looks like it fixed the issue. Okay, give me a lot of details here, but nothing I have to do. Great, accept. Let's run it again, see if it works. Nice, created successfully. Sweet. Okay, pay now. Takes us to our Stripe page. Awesome, man. This thing has really come together. This is so freaking cool. You can send reminders. Can send as a test email. This is amazing. Okay, we've really come a very, very long way. Okay, so let's come back to our list here. So we have a setting tabs where we can add logo, business info dynamically. We have a login feature and registration feature. So the only thing left for us here is this generate link. Okay, so if I come back to my invoices, I think it still has this option, right? Now, let's see if this works now. Let's go here now. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it broke. So I'm just gonna tell it to fix this. I'm gonna say, when I go to generate link, I get this error. Let's see what it says. All right, that took a lot longer than usual. Oh no. Wow, cursor just crashed. That sucks. Hope I didn't lose that. Oh, that sucks. Okay, Cursor crashed for some reason. Maybe I have too many tabs open or something. I don't think this is where it left off, so I'm just gonna say please continue. That sucks. Hopefully it's no big deal. Okay, so should be done now. Cursor has not crashed. Let's rerun this, accept all. And I don't know what's going on. Cursor's running super slow. I might have to restart, but let's see if we can get this to work. Accept all. Okay, let's run this back. Let's try this again. Failed to load invoice not found. Okay, let's come back here. Am I still logged in? Invoices, here's the invoice. Let's edit this. Or sorry, let's go back. Let's hit the invoice. Let's generate that link again. Let's copy that. Let's come back here. Failed to load invoice not found. Okay, still getting errors. Okay, Cursor is running like extremely slow. I think I'm gonna have to restart my PC and come right back. This is the last piece we're working on, so let me just restart real quick and I'm gonna be right back. All right, and we're back. I just restarted my PC. What's really cool about Cursor is that it actually saves the whole history of the conversation and everything else. So it's like right where I left it. So let's just npm run dev real quick again, and let us jump right back into our project and see what it looks like right now. cd my app. Keep forgetting to do that. So localhost 3000. Probably gonna have to log in again. Oh, it looks like I'm already logged in. Perfect. Oh, maybe not. Let's go to my invoices. Go to our invoice here. Let's generate our link. Copy that. Let's see if this works. Most likely will not work, but let's try it. Okay, so we still have our issue. So keep getting these two confused. Let's move this here. Okay, just close that. Okay. I'm getting a new error when I click on a link, go to a generated link for an invoice. Here's what I'm seeing. Let's see if we can get this to work. By the way, just a heads up if you're curious, so far I did the math. I'm in about $27 worth of credits with Claude. So I'm using 3.7 Sonnet. I know it's not the cheapest model out there, but as you can see, it's really good. It solved a lot of problems for us, and I'd way rather pay more than sit here and, get super frustrated using other models. So, and to be honest, $27, I've been going at this for like, 3 hours? Without all the edits. I'm obviously going to edit this once it goes live, but probably been doing this for 3 hours, maybe 3.5, 4 hours, plus $27. I mean, and to have an app that's pretty much almost a fully built SaaS app here, pretty wild. So once we wrap this up, I'll give you the full summary. So let's see what we have here. All right, it's doing its normal checks to see what's going on with this. So, okay, it thinks it solved the problem. Let's accept it and let's see if it really did. Let's run the app. Let's come here. Let's just refresh this page. I think I should still be logged in. I am. Great. Let's generate that link. Copy, paste. I think it's the same link. Come on, baby. Nice. It worked. Oh, it worked. It's so good. It worked. Pay now. Let's try to do this. Oh, no. Okay. We have one issue here. The pay now button's not working. Let's try the view PDF. Okay, neither of these are working. So, well, we have a few hurdles left here. We're so close. Okay, seems to have fixed it. Let's accept it, run it back. All right, I gotta log in again. Go to our invoice. Let's go to the generated link. Let's view the PDF. Nice. Okay, it worked. Sweet. I'm seeing some errors here, but it didn't affect the application, so it worked. Cool. Okay, sweet. Great. Let's try pay now. I think this had an error too, right? Okay, so let me just let it know that the pay now is not working. Okay, so great. The PDF function is working, but the pay now button on the generated link page is not working. Okay, it thinks it has fixed this, so let's run it back. Let's see if it's fixed it. Let's just refresh this. Nice, and it does work. Okay, sweet. Okay, so what do we have? Let's wrap this up. So in the span of just a few hours, I was able to go from nothing to recreating an entire invoicing app that generates invoices, generates custom invoices, generates recurring invoices. I can add my own clients. I can have them pay directly to my Stripe account. I can log in. I can register new users. I could even sell this application. I could connect Stripe to have other users use it. It's connected to a database. The last thing I need to do is push this live, okay? So I'm going to use Vercel for that. Vercel makes everything super simple in this respect. So basically, go to Vercel, create an account, only takes a few minutes, and then essentially you have a Vercel account. So I'm gonna do this the really simple way, and I'm gonna use GitHub. So you're basically gonna wanna register for GitHub. Once you're set up in GitHub, you log into GitHub through Vercel, and then essentially what I'm gonna do is just set up a new repo here. So I'm gonna call this repo, what are we gonna call it? Invoice, what did I call this? Vercel invoice. Let's use the whole name, Vercel invoice. I'll leave this public if anybody wants to use it, that's totally fine. And we will create this repository. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to actually push this existing repository. I'm going to push this to GitHub. Okay. So I haven't done this in a while, so bear with me here. Use the GitHub app for this, and we will go ahead and do this now. So let's go to, I'm going to add existing repository. Let's go to YouTube. Where's our invoice app? Invoice Lucid. No, that's not it. Test. No. Where did I put this? Invoice Lucid, my app. Okay, so this is it. So select folder. So yeah, pretty much I'm going to push this exactly as it is right now. Summary will say full app, and I'm going to commit this to master. Let's publish this repo. Okay, so I'm actually just going to make a new repo here. So we'll just call this invoice Vercel, description, invoice app. We'll leave that public, and we'll put this in, actually, we'll put it under no organization for now. Okay, publish that. So now the goal of this is that if I make changes here in Cursor and I save it, I can come here and I can push the changes directly to GitHub. So that way it just keeps your code in one place. So forget about this one that I created. This one we'll throw away, and then we'll come back to Lucid and we'll find the new one that I just made, Invoice Vercel. This is the new one, right? And here's all of our files. It's all in TypeScript. Awesome. So now that I have this set up in GitHub, so again, just download GitHub app, create a new repo, put your, find the folder that it's in. You saw me do that whole thing, commit it, etc. Right? So then we log into Vercel, create a free account. I have a free account here, and then set this up so you can see that I have my Invoice Vercel. I think that's what it's called, right? It's already in my account here since I'm set up through GitHub, and I'm just going to hit import, build and output settings, right? This is all fine, I think. And I'm going to add the env variables. So here is where you're going to add all of the variables that are in your, let's see, where's my code? All of the variables that are in your env.local file. So all of the variables that are in here, you're going to have to add them one by one in here. So I'm going to go through this process and I'm going to add them one by one. I'll show you the first one real quick. So we'll take public Supabase URL, add this, and then we'll just give it a value, right? So we'll come back here, copy this, that here. Boom. And then we'll go through and I'm going to add each one of these one by one. All right. So I added them all and I just hit deploy. And it should, from there, just deploy this app. Sometimes there are issues here. So if you find any issues, I'll just come back into Cursor and say, hey, I'm trying to deploy it on Vercel and it's not working, et cetera, et cetera. And that will fix the issue. And then the last thing I'm going to want to do here is just set this domain up that I bought. So I'm going to log into Namecheap. And when this is done deploying, I'm going to set this domain up on Vercel, so that it's connected to Vercel. So we'll have all of our pieces connected. Okay, so it did not work. It gave me an error here. So I'm trying to deploy it and it gave me this build error. This is pretty common. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this and I'm going to send this back into Cursor. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm trying to deploy this on Vercel and I'm getting this error. And let's see what it does for me. Okay, so it made some changes that it thinks should allow it to deploy. I'm just going to ask it, are you sure that the app should now deploy perfectly on Vercel? Is there anything else I need to do to deploy this on Vercel without any issues? Okay, so I asked it to help me set up a Vercel deployment, and it did a ton of extra stuff for me to help me launch this in Vercel. So it fixed this, it optimized NextJS, it added Vercel specific configurations. So I think this should work a lot better now, hopefully. So I'm gonna show you what to do. So I'm gonna accept all. So it's all been updated. Now I'm gonna come back to GitHub, and you can see that a lot of these have been changed, modified. So I'm gonna commit these, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna say dated for Vercel changes for Vercel deployment. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to commit this to the master. I'm going to push to the origin. Done. Okay. So now if I come back to GitHub, for example, you're going to see if I refresh this just now, you see all these that say now. So these were all just updated. That's great. So this should be good to go. So I'm going to try this one more time. I'm going to hit deploy and fingers crossed that it works this time. And then if it does, I will go ahead and add the domain and we should be able to wrap this up. All right. We got another issue here. Failed to compile. Let's see. Okay, just going to copy this and bring it back in to Cursor. I was hoping that would work, but let's see. Okay, so I'm just copying that error and putting it in there. I also let it know that my life and the entire fate of the world depends on this working. So that seemed to work last time I was having a tough issue. So let's see if that works this time. And if it doesn't, I'll switch to thinking, 3.7 thinking, and usually that does fix the issue. All right, so the deployment failed again. So what I had to do was come back here to Cursor, and I'm just going to scroll up here and show you exactly what happened. So I got a failed deployment. Deployment failed with the following errors. So then I wrote, this is extremely important to fix. We need to get this deployed in the next few hours to save the world and all of humanity. Please fix this and give me deployment production build so that after your changes, this will successfully deploy to Vercel. So it went through its, and by the way, I used Claude Sonnet Thinking 3.7 Thinking for this. It went through its thought process for this emergency fix. The problem is occurring, blah, 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 the solution, right? And it went ahead and did this, started working on this in the background. I left this alone. I walked away for like 20, 30 minutes, let this do its thing. It just kept going and going and going. It's in YOLO mode. So it just kept working and working. I didn't do anything. I just did my thing. I had dinner. I chilled. I didn't really work or care about it. So then I came back and I saw this. Great, the build has been completed successfully. We fixed all the issues. And I was like, yay, it worked, blah, blah, blah. So then I went and I tried to deploy it again on Vercel and it failed again. So, and then basically all you do to deploy it on Vercel, just so that you know, is just come and update your GitHub and do the same thing I already showed you. Once you update GitHub, it'll automatically redeploy to Vercel. So Vercel, when because it's connected to GitHub, when it sees there's a new commit to GitHub, it'll redeploy the app. So it did that and it basically redeployed it. It didn't work. So I came back and I said, let's see here. I basically told it the deployment didn't work and I gave it the new error. So I said, the deployment failed with the following error. And then I said, come on, you can do this. Let's get this thing deployed on Vercel before the moon turns to blood. And then I gave it the error it was having, right? And then it went through this whole process again and I left it alone, probably another 20, 30 minutes. Now, this might sound funny that I keep saying, the world is at stake, the moon turns to blood. For whatever reason, when you prompt it with this, it actually seems to solve the problem faster. That's just my experience. You can try it. You could think I'm crazy. You could do, you could try other things if you want. This seems to work for me. So that's why I'm showing you this. So then again, I walked away 20, 30 minutes and then it went ahead and finished, kept doing all this work. And then it said, perfect, your, Vercel JSON is well configured. I didn't even look at this. I came back to Vercel and I saw that it had successfully deployed and our site was live. So that was all I cared about. And you can see it's already on our domain. The way I did this, just so that you come to Vercel, set up domains. You just add a domain, add existing. I added this domain. I set up the DNS record. I put that into Namecheap. Only took me a few minutes or a few seconds, I should say. And then I connected this domain to this deployment. Again, just took like 2 seconds to do that. And it was done. So you can see this is now on production. We have our domain here. And the site is live. So you could even come to this site now. Hopefully a ton of people don't register and break this thing that I just built, but you can come here, get started. You could register. You can sign in if once you have an account. So I'll do that right now. And yeah, it works. It actually works and it replaces everything I need. It creates invoices for me. It generates payment pages, generates invoice links. It generates PDFs. It sends reminders. It sends emails. It actually has connections to Stripe. So it does payment connections. I can send recurring invoices that send emails to clients. I can have my whole client list here. I can set up my business profile. I can upload my logo. So that's it. I mean, the app is done. I managed to successfully replace a piece of software I've been paying for 4 years using AI in a matter of just hours. It is a huge deal for me. And if you followed along to the end of this video, congrats, because you're now able to do that too. I showed you the entire process step by step. You saw everything I did. You see, it's not rocket science. You can do it too. If you're interested in having me do something like this for your business, if you don't want to go through this whole process, you want me to help you do something like this for your business, contact me on X at Mark Gadala. Send me a DM and I'll help you out with that as well. And that's pretty much the whole thing. If you like this video, give it a like. It really does help me out. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing way more in-depth guides just like this to make you a better AI programmer, a better user of AI, and just a more productive person in general using AI. Also, drop a comment. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of this whole process, where AI is going, how insane it is that we're able to actually build software like this with no code. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts.